Now, all right, here we go. We are back at it. Put down the Pizza Hut sign. It's your boy KP, aka King Prime, sitting here with my man Ian, VG Race Crown. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the stream. It's just we like to start every stream off with a little message, a positive message before we get down to the nitty gritty. Remember, remember we say treat others how you want to be treated. Yeah, it also shows a reflection how you treat the smallest individual. It shows you how much respect you have for people above you. Remember that.
And likewise, treat others the way you'd wish to be treated, and don't take shit from nobody. Ding.
Especially if they have home, especially see a bunch of fire behind them.
Oh god, calm down, Ian. So we're gonna get right back into it. We're talking about the NALCS. I mean, I guess I don't have to say NA anymore. They did separate them and make them NA or LCS and LEC. But we're talking
Which
about the struggles
works,
of
still
North
works.
America LCS. We discussed. So this is, of course, the first episode that we've done, and there were
Pilot.
some
This is the peanut.
the pilot, and
Pilot.
there were some technical difficulties. But we were discussing and talking about just some of the things about the infrastructure of North America, and some of the things that they were having difficulties bringing into the scene. So we're talking about originally we're talking about scouting. That's one of my big points. The scouting that gets done and the scouting that gets uh, handled in other regions and other uh, countries, whether it's Korea or EU, to find top tier talent in their ladder to bring up from their ladder versus having to import as much as North America does. I think North.
and how and how I helped this conversation. I went outside the realm of esports because apparently this was done on actually it was done on a LinkedIn article and my camera's flicking in and out. But it was a LinkedIn article. Is it is it the reason why esports in the North American scene seems weird and esports in general? We don't have a sense in this region by the media coverage. We don't have that media coverage like college, high school, so on and so on. AAU scene it's not established all the way yet, and that hurts because if your team sucks, let's see, you can pull up what was the worst team this year in A. You can pull it up, but the worst team in A, if their fans like, you know what, our team sucks. They're like, there's what keeps them interested for next year. Right now, we know the Grizzlies right now are fighting either fighting to not suck or fighting to turn over the pick that they owe to Boston. While they're playing a young roster, but everyone's hyped about their number 2 draft pick from this year's draft, the number 4 pick they got last year, and all the new picks that and the new front office, that future that says that gives them optimism. For example, the Browns suck, and they suck now with even having 2 good wide receivers and have a quarterback that showed up out of college, showed up out of nowhere. But the point is, there's still a hope that hope for the future is still there. Esports is about results, and which also hurts viewership because if you only care about the results, you're not going to stick around when your team is and how many matches they play? About 10, 12, 20?
Depends on the league because they changed the format. So they used to play like 24 games, then they switched it to best of ones, and they switched it to best of threes. But yeah, I understand what you mean.
The point is your team is and whatever, and X. Yeah, and X. And you have no shot. What's keeping your fans from just doing which waving the proverbial and turning in their fan card and literally turning in their fan card.
Man came with
Turning in
props.
their fan
Jeez.
card.
Okay, that's a credit card, but I can
No,
dig it. I can dig
same
the
point.
props. All right,
Turning in their
so
fan card.
so you brought
And
up a point that Monte Cristo recently brought up during I believe it was the nines that he was hosting a summoning insight with Thorin and Loco Doco, and it was what is a team's brand, and I thought that was really really interesting because that's partially what my educational background's in is public relations, all that. the discussion of what is a brand, and in esports, what is a brand. And when you think of a lot of these brands, especially in the League of Legends scenes and the League of Legends community, you do see a lot of brands that were created to market other brands. You know, they're created to prop up other things. They didn't say, okay, we need a team that'll cultivate a feeling or an organization that, you know, they were TSM, Team Solo Mid. Team Solo Mid was a website kind of like Mobifier or op.na.gg. It's a place that you went to find builds and whatnot. So if your team is intrinsically connected with that site, and then that site is no more, what is TSM? Like Cloud9 used to be the HyperX team, and they, you know, brand switch or were bought out by Jack or whatever. I'm not sure the back behind whatever happened, but where it became Cloud9. And when we think of Cloud9, your general idea comes with like meme team, power of friendship. Um, I think my brain goes immediately to Sneaky and Meteos and High, and then Lemonation and the Notebook. All these things that are kind of characteristically tangible through the players, but then also, like I said, ideals of like the memes, the jokes, the family atmosphere, the friendship look on it. Um,
And
as well
then
as
then there was Curse, which is no more.
I mean,
And then there's also we used to
Curse and
see Curse,
TL,
which is TL,
Curse and TL, yeah,
which used to be always either third. Curse was Dignitas was
fourth,
always team four, team
fourth,
four, team
yeah.
four.
Curse with the old adage and the old meme of being fourth place. That was like a thing that was very true. But now they've won 4 NALCS championships, like back to back to back to back to back, right?
Against for they were an SEC team playing cupcakes though. That's the problem.
I mean, and I've made that point tons and tons and tons of times before. I've
And you
stated that the NALCS is very top heavy, has always been top heavy. It's always been your top one, two, maybe three teams. And then the other 6 or 7 teams in the league are so lackluster. It's not even funny. And by the time you get to your ninth and 10th place teams, I was a fan of relegations because it made everybody fight for that spot. And it made sure that we had a way to kick out teams that didn't deserve that did not deserve to be in the league.
But when you go to a franchise method, what you've done now, and the thing is, league's behind on this. Like scouting grounds just started. It's a 4 week event. It's 4 week event to find the best talent in solo queue. Here's the problem. That is it. We're putting so much on solo queue when in essence this game comes down to not what you can do by yourself, but what you can do with you plus a you plus a them plus that
It's the
person.
definition of synergy, right? It's the sum of the parts have to
Synergy.
some of the parts have to outweigh or outproduce or push up the whole. And you see that happen with teams like
Actually,
I
fun
think
fun Phoenix. Fun Phoenix.
Fun plus Phoenix. I mean, a lot of people were, you know, there were all your tweets about Doing B is the weakest mid laner at the tournament. First of all, he's weak by comparisons to mid laners such as Faker and Caps. Like when you're talking about your S plus tier mid laners, yeah, rookie, yeah, he's gonna struggle against those guys, but I don't know who wouldn't, right? But when you're talking about Doingby versus North American mid laners, this man had a walk in the park the entire time. This man shut down Caps for crying out loud. Even though I just put Caps in that S tier echelon, we saw what Doingby does. Doingby is the nullifier to an extent. He came through, he did what he needed to do, and he nullified the mid laners that were supposed to be better than him. He did it to Rookie. He did it to Caps. I'm sure if he had played Faker, that would have been a fun matchup to watch because Faker is a whole troll in solo queue. So you would have seen like Nautilus versus, I don't know,
Is
Janna
it
mid or
Galio?
something. Something crazy.
Is it no? He would bring out the Leona. It's like okay,
Yeah, he would have picked some. He would have been like, wait, because it's the Faker phenomenon. That's really how it works. It's the Faker phenomenon. If Faker picks something more than once and actually wins on it, it must be broken. So if he had picked
Leona.
Leona in the Nautilus, you know for damn sure the whole solo queue ladder would just be Leona versus Nautilus matchups because they'd be like, oh shit, you gotta play Leona, you gotta match up right. Just like when people see a Pike now, you just lock in Nautilus because Doingby showed that yeah that Pike pick is really really annoying, but Nautilus outpushes Pike. Nautilus shuts Pike down. Nautilus can get the push and roam faster than Pike. And this is from the worst mid laner, right? So then you have Tien, who's an amazing jungler. He popped off. He really showed up. And then LWX, who a lot of people were saying like sucked because of their group stage performance. And then he went deathless. Deathless has a perfect KDA. They should make that man a prestige skin when the championship comes out because that's the definition of prestigious. 0 deaths. And if it wasn't for Tien like diving the fountain at the end of the game or something, at the end of game 3, he also would have had 0 deaths. So yeah, when we're talking about synergy, when we're talking about
technically he still has 0 deaths. It doesn't. It wasn't a kill.
no, it does count. I don't know if you've ever had a perfect game and then suicided to like tower or fountain or gromp or whatever on aggregate sites. You don't get a perfect game. It skews your KDA. So technically it's not a perfect game, even though the death didn't come by somebody else. But yeah, that's what the synergy is. You have these 5 pieces. You know, you have Crisp down there making sure LPX stays alive, providing double coverage with him and Tien. So the two of them run around letting Doingby be the super carry Doingby, be the young god that we need, the person that we deserve, right? Because that's what he is. It's super carry Doingby, realistically.
Just like he plays picks that it allows other people to do what they want to do.
And then you have Gimgoon up top, just like chilling. Really, he's like, well, I can do the same thing that Doingby can do, as long as I don't feed, and as long as I show up to the team fights, I'm good. I can win a world championship, right? So they didn't have a star-studded blowout roster, but they didn't need one because they decided to create a team that was collectively dynamic, good, and especially good in this meta.
Too bad Riot just took a stick of dynamite to that.
They always
What's
do.
A C4?
It's preseason. What's a C4? Both. It's a stick of dynamite wrapped in plastic explosive.
Yes. Anyway, $40 says this would be the League of Draven coming in season 10.
Yeah, maybe. And the other part of it is
like, think about it. Draven does well when A, you play a little bit passive. B, when you don't have to worry about your jungler showing up every 2 seconds, the enemy jungler showing up every 2 seconds to come. It's about that time. Insert meme we can't mention here, but it starts with an A, starts with an R. Isn't time.
So my question then to you would be, with just your
right?
No, with just your look at
the clock, the clock memes. It's about that time. Starts with an R. It's time.
No, don't know this one. But anyway, so like I'm saying, so with that being said, let's just look at North America right now. You're saying that we're about to get into some chaos style. I'm trying to trigger Monty, but if we're talking another shakeup, another fundamental shakeup of the game, what type of team or which teams do you think will do well with what we know as far as rosters?
Well, actually, to be honest, someone who doesn't follow, try to follow more the progression of how the game is set slate. Right now, from the game's perspective, and you told me, right now, because of junglers now, you don't get the catch-up experience. Is now people that can actually crunch numbers, but also also knows how they want to play their rosters. I'm somebody who likes to farm all the time. In jungle, it's kind of a problem. Most years, it's a problem when you say, I show up at level. I show up with 6. My team's like, why are they in gank? They're not playing. They also don't use comms because they believe that they believe that I'm solo queue. I don't need you. and then you then complain about a gang and call you a troglodyte or something worse that you can't say on the stream
You'll get
or to
banned,
your
or
mother,
yeah.
or something that when you meet Jesus, it might be the thing that keep you out of heaven. And I'm like, do you really want to get kicked out of heaven where it has AC and heat and unlimited food, internet, and it's a good internet and all the computer
I'm trying
space
to
you want to
figure
play?
out what church you went to that told you heaven has AC and unlimited food and all this stuff.
The
But
point is,
anyway,
heaven's a
yeah.
paradise, and that's my
Anyway.
kind of
Oh,
paradise.
okay, gotcha.
Remember, paradise, bro, paradise is wherever you. For me, that's a good paradise. All
Yeah.
the free games I want to play, all the free food, heat and air conditioning. I started going somewhere that's on that the heat. The only last time the air conditioner broke, hell froze over, and the literally that happened when Real Foot Lake was formed because the river ran backwards. You know it's a demonic shit when the a whole major river goes that way, it goes that way. You know it's some demonic shit.
All right.
But that's the last time the fault that we sit on we had a major earthquake. Also, that's why we're due. The Real Foot Lake was formed because of that earthquake. That's what I said. Anytime a river goes upstream then downstream, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. The point being is this: it's a kind of paradise thing, where it's for those who want to play the game math based, who want to play team synergy. This might be great. You might see a lot of how these teams work in Clash when it starts on the second. Oh, that's a good plug, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, League of Legends Clash Global Clash Beta starts on December the 2nd. That's next Monday, I
We're
believe.
excited for Clash. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna try and get some wins, maybe.
But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Clash starts Monday. Basically, it's a double elimination tournament, and everyone's fitting in their own little capsule bubble elo system. So don't worry. In theory, you should not be playing against. We shouldn't. I should never have to face Shattuck or Michi or anyone in Challenger, and your camera froze.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why it froze.
But you should be facing people inside your own elo in
Reconnected.
theory, and you get two chances. Now with the problem I don't like with the Clash is you can also buy your way in. You can buy you extra tickets. I don't like that.
So
Uh,
I think
it's
you're jumping top just because you got kind of excited about Clash. But let's go back to discussing at least because I mean we've both kind of topic shifted. We were talking
listen.
about
Well, you
North
forget
America. We were talking about North America, the issues with North America. Then we started talking about solo queue, and now we're talking about
because solo queue
Clash.
ties into scouting and how every other region has done better at this than North America. And probably back to the fact that again, North America is the fun region. We're about marketing and selling things because that's the only way we get legitimacy. Because the part of the population thinks you're a joke. The other population, even this is your full time job, understand what you do. They don't still see your job. Matter of fact, my boy Malik Ray is a peak eye racer. That's pro NASCAR basically. For those
Okay.
who don't know, for iRacing, he's one of the best 40 drivers on the oval side of the server. Compete for $100,000. That's gonna go up. Now you also it's also 850 plus for every race win. You get the point. The point is he's a pro racer who gets paid he gets literally paid by racetrack, which is Richmond out of Richmond. He gets paid from them. He gets paid from his sponsors to actually sit there to sit there and compete. Now most people don't understand it. Most people think he's for fun. I mean, even things like 2K, where we have we started we had our pro scene started just with pro am tournaments on the live version of the game, and now we have a whole. This is the third year of the league. Half the player base doesn't care about the league, but the league's about made over I don't know, about one oh made several millions of dollars, and they just brought in Gen G from I believe Gen G is
Korea.
a Chinese company.
No, Korean.
Oh my bad.
They're the ones that bought out. They bought
Top
out some Samsung Spot.
Show some white.
Well, Samsung overall, because remember they merged Samsung White and Samsung Blue, and it was just Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah. And then they're no longer there. But the point being is Gen G is the first non NBA team to be part of the league. This is their first year, and the only reason they're there because they got an office in LA.
I
They got a
mean,
loan plan.
also Genji is making strides. I'm surprised that Genji. Well, there probably is a rule against it for Genji to not be able to have a team in North America and a team in Korea. There's probably some sort of rule against it because Genji has the most, I think, foreign reach as far as streamers, as far as YouTube personalities. I see more sponsorships from Gen G than any other North American. My dream sponsor would be SKTT1. We already know that.
Actually,
If they
at this point,
reached out,
it might be Phoenix. At this point, it might
if
change to Phoenix.
nah,
if,
nah, I'm not. I'm never,
if they're
man.
doing
I've been rocking with SKT since StarCraft One. Like, let's not mince or mix anything up. Like,
but the point I'm making is this: half the league doesn't, half the people don't care, and plus, when your $60 product requires you to play like a free mobile, like a freemium game,
Yeah,
that's a problem.
the microtransactions ruin games too.
Is it? Yeah, but the point being is this: more people care about the casual side of just playing a basketball sim versus that. League has that problem. North America has that problem where we don't look at games, especially the competitive ones, and we don't really care if we're good or bad. Overwatch has that little issue where you don't get the kind of feedback you know if you're good or bad. Now, I'm not. This is a league conversation, but hear me out. When you're talking about when you're talking about a game that wants you to progress, when you make people feel when you make people feel good, regardless of if their mechanics are right. There's
Hmm.
many times where I've had a great KDA game with you, but we got our butts waxed, or I didn't have the right positioning and you died, or this person's favor, I prioritized the wrong thing. We have a team fight, and you like, Ian, yes, King. This is
Why
a
are you
team
on the
fight over
other
here.
side of the map?
It's like, what's the thing? This thing. He starts pinging out. He starts pinging out. It's uh, 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 uh. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Time
that
out.
thing.
Time out. Ian, time out. But get to. He said,
You don't get over in that corner, no. But yeah, no,
no,
keep on
no.
going.
You can do it right. He said, "You better get your ass and you gotta talk to your teeth. You can't say that out loud in public." He said, they want to call child services on your mama now, but you'll beat you while they show up. Let me tell you that right now. Thank you, mama, for saving me because there's some times that because them whoopings then the reason why I'm not in jail now. And thank you, Jesus. Anyway, the point I just made was this:
That's a whole
we
tangent that I feel like if anybody watches this video, they're just gonna be like, "What the hell did I just? What was that?" But keep on going.
the point I'm making is this, and I got around to it. We care more about this. You don't get that feedback, and I brought up all this because the fact that all the entire example train was this. You don't get is you when it comes to a game, you want players to go from players who maybe have maybe don't have the money to buy one of these kind of
Oh,
systems.
nice flex, nice flex.
No, no,
Eh,
I built that. It's still $1,000 computer. Ain't nothing. I know people. I
it's a
know.
joke, bro. It's a joke. You just had to take the webcam off and show the rig. It was just a joke. Keep on going.
You see people who in iron, like our boy Rick Fox, finally got an
Hey,
iron with the
he
bronze.
made it the bronze. Rick Fox out here. Bogard, let's go.
It's it. It's it. Making out a bronze. You want to go from iron to bronze to silver and then to gold. And then keep progressing. You want your mechanics to keep progressing. The problem is, and I know a lot of league players, if they're not ranked players, they rather play ARAM or team fight tactics, which I'm not going to judge for what it is, but it's kind of almost RNG what you get. It's almost like playing what you get versus you controlling your destiny. So you get my point.
I'm a little lost, but I think I
Team
can.
fight tactics has
I
a
think
bit
I
of
can.
RNG to the game.
I think I can bring this back around, back to the point that I think that you were trying to make. So you're saying that the focus of League of Legends and from the North American
No, the
kind of
gaming in North America is not based to try to be the best.
yeah,
In fact, there's a whole bunch of streamers who stream League who aren't good. They're just personalities.
yeah.
That's the point, and I made the point, but it took me a while to get there. But in North America, we see video games not as a job. We see a job entertaining people playing video games, but not actually playing video games.
Yeah.
Like Faker has 21,000 people watching him play solo queue, entertaining them, but he's still making like wow playing.
Okay, well, I mean, the only reason why I might disagree against that is because you do sometimes so for the few people that get very popular, we're gonna of course keep it to League of Legends. For the few players that get very popular streaming and playing League of Legends on Twitch or whatever medium, um,
Entitled.
they're normally like really good at the game. They're like there's that stigma. Do you know how many times that like I'll be streaming and gaming and I'll drop my link and people will be like, herp derp ha ha ha, you're bronze and you're streaming, you'll never make it, nobody watches that. And I'm like, well, one, I'm not
Yes, they
bronze.
do.
Well, I'm like,
My
one,
friend
I'm
Michi is prime example.
well,
Peachy's a prime damn example. She one trick on her way to gold.
so I'm
People
saying
still watch her, and
I'm
she's
not
bad.
saying, I'm
McKenna,
not saying that anything good or bad. All I'm saying is like realistically, when you think about it from the standpoint of, how should I put it? When you think about it from the standpoint of, like you're saying, it's not, we're not a region that's dedicated to,
going up, like mechanically scaling up.
yeah, we're more like, hey, this person's funny, this person knows this person uh did this wild thing or does this wild thing. It's that entertainment value that you're bringing. But at the same time, esports, video games, has fundamentally a different grasp in the culture too. When you think about it, like as video game players, so like let's say I'm going to use Sneaky as an example. I know there's some hot button topics about him and leaving C9 that's going on right now, but when you think about it, Sneaky can go win NALCS, right? And then that night or the next day hop on a stream and Sneaky will be playing solo queue, League of Legends, and he'll be streaming, and you can go into his stream and chat, hey, good job, Sneaky, you were awesome. And he can look over and read the stream and go, oh, yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, we definitely won that. Or, yeah, that was a tough best of five, yada, yada, yada. We pulled it out in the end, reverse sweep, right? Now, LeBron James will go and win the NBA championship. And it's not like you're going to go find him the next day at Grove Street basketball court, just, practicing and playing, and people are going to be able to walk over and be like, hey, LeBron, you did a really good job. There's that intimacy, that level of intimacy with personalities and people is so divided in traditional sports versus esports. Esports is like the closest thing to a connection that a traditional sports athlete has is Twitter right now. And most professional athletes, their Twitter is ran by an agent or somebody or social media uh, personnel management, right? Whereas when you are watching somebody stream, when you're watching somebody playing, and you message their account or you jump into their chat, you're directly one-on-one talking to that person. Whether they decide to respond back or not, that's up to them. But that ability, that access to engage makes esports almost way more personal on that kind of like level.
Yeah, I brought that's up in the book that I just finally brought up because I said at the start when you did the first take. It's kind of we ain't about that fake news, and there's a book out here, a book written by Mr. Tobias Snoltz, M. Snoltz, and it's literally esports is business, the management world of of competitive gaming. One of the things that makes esports unique, like you already said, is the fact that it's a digital market going analog. Was it back in season 2 championship was the first time we had a championship in North America in an arena. Remember the first League of Legends championship, which no one really counts anymore. You won't count it because it was played, I believe, at DreamHack in a
Yeah.
hotel lobby,
Yeah. Everybody
and
jokes
no
and
one counts
memes.
it. And that was when Fnatic. That's when a champ. That's when your boy, the great X Peke, played a champion that should have been banned, who should never got the chance to play the champion, backdoors and give us the greatest play that only he does. Why I'm doing it to ST Telecom later when he went Origin. Does it to does it when he plays his Origin. Makes that play happen against SK Telecom. Pulls that play off, and it's like He did it. The X Peke lives again.
So yeah, I mean that's a very interesting point to bring up, though. The whole going from, instead of going from analog to digital, going from digital to analog, because yeah, this is a digital space. Everything as far as esports was concerned was held over a streaming platform, whether it's Twitch, Caffeine, Facebook, YouTube,
And
whatever.
now for internationals, ESP. They said the world leaders in sports.
No, I'm
ESPN.
just talking about streaming platforms
No, but I'm telling no. Like
where people
remember,
can view the
if
esports and
you ever
stuff.
forget, ESPN teamed up with MLG that gave us like those Halo 2
True,
tournaments back
true,
in the day.
true, true. But
And it's early Call of Duty, and then X game like later as we go on 2010, X Games allow for MLG to come to X Games in Austin and compete.
but what I'm
But
talking
that's
about,
still
I'm
on their
talking
private
about
server.
that gradient shift is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that shift from now going fully digital to getting non-endemic sponsors. So for those that do know or don't know, I'm just gonna, so an endemic sponsor is like a sponsor that comes within the scene. So that'd be like your HyperX. Who's that? Is that Razer?
Hashtag race, baby.
So yeah, you
Razer
got your
Nation.
HyperX, your Razers, your
Your
Logitechs, your
Logitechs.
um. Oh, nice.
Logitech.
Oh, that's your shifter.
Yep.
Corsair,
You
your
like
endemic sponsor, your
your
non,
Elgato,
yeah, Elgatos, stuff like that. Corsair, I think Corsair owns
Corsair.
Elgato. Um, your non-endemics are your sponsors that come from outside your Toyotas, your Nissans, your Coca
Yep.
Colas.
Shout out to Louis Vuitton for giving us that awesome $900
Act,
case
actually, yeah, that
and the
Louis
skin
Vuitton
that
came through.
it cost too much damn money.
But Louis Vuitton did come through. But there, but we're trying to use that non-endemic and venture capitalists now VC money to really bolster up and pick up the scene. But it's not working for, well, it hasn't. It may work right now. It hasn't worked for North America. It hasn't worked for the last 2 seasons. I think
Oh, don't forget
North.
Red Bull. Like Red Bull's now deemed away from being non-endemic to endemic.
Well, that's because Red Bull came in early and stayed. Coca Cola could have been the same way. Same thing with Nissan, but they all came
Actually,
in.
Coke stayed. Coke is staying.
Well, Coke is coming back. Coke wasn't a part of it for a while.
It's because they wanted to be part of the Coke Zero Challenger scene, which if Riot does this right, and this was even Honda with the Proving Ground sponsoring Hooving Grounds, Stomping Grounds actually, Stomping Grounds.
Stomping
But
grounds, yeah, that's really what it was.
it's really just Proving Grounds. Was never forget the first ever the first ever tutorial map. Rip. Anyway, point I'm making is also never forget Trista Treeline.
Are you gonna say never forget Dominion also? Can you just go on with the point?
The point being is there is if is it the best way to grow esports is from a grassroots level. And when the point we got to about scouting is in probably NA, and I said about the future, there's nothing on the future. There's nothing makes you overly excited for the future. Because like some of the best players who play League of Legends don't stream.
And some of the best
Like we all know Night
streamers
Blue's a great
aren't the
probably
best.
he's probably a great jungler. We know Tyler One's a great 180 carry main, mostly Draven main.
Well, now he's playing Heimerdinger. He's playing Heimerdinger.
As I'm saying, Heimdall. But the point being is, you put him in a comp setting. He's a wet paper bag.
Yeah, they get banned out.
It doesn't work.
I
Like
mean,
some of the
I say that we saw that with well, who's was Fabi. Fabi was an amazing Draven player back in seasons 4 or 5 in solo queue. It was like you watch Fabi for Draven, you watch Gosu for a Vayne, but again, Fabi was this crazy. He had one. I think he had 2 accounts in Challenger at one point. Fabulous and Fabi or whatever, and he ended up getting picked up by Team Liquid. I believe Team Liquid played him before they got Double Lift. This is right before Double Lift had to get like injected. Like Fabi basically lost Team Liquid their spot, and Steve hired Double Lift as like a ringer to save them from getting relegated. If I'm remembering how the story went, but they had Fabian for the run, and again, Fabi is an amazing solo queue player. I don't know if he's still playing or if he's still high rated, but he was an amazing, and at the time was a challenger level, hyper mechanical, great Draven main, great Draven player. But when it came to playing in a team, team composition, because solo queue is so different than organized play, Fabby he got exposed. I think that's the right word to use. He got exposed. It was one of those things where at the time the meta wasn't right for Draven. Draven, strong independent champion, but you're playing in a meta where Elise ganks for Renekton at level 2 at 2.5 minutes every game. The Renekton then snowballs his lane, TP's bot, and kills the Draven at like 6 minutes every game.
And then not to mention the Flame Horizon. And then they're not the top lane team with the Flame Horizon,
Same thing,
and
it's one of those
then
things
you have a problem.
where yeah, you have these players who do end up getting exposed, who do end up not being able to.
And yeah, and that it comes down to it. And part 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 of what kind of separates, like, and this what they try to do with prove rounds. They want to all these people, all these guys, like even Overwatch, how they do it. They have there's a second league, but none of those teams can go. None of those teams that make it can go up to the primary league. They just get picked. Like the stuff on my desk, they just get picked up and stuff. They just get picked up. So teams like we saw, like Forgiven was on that team that qualified. Then he got picked up by somebody else. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was on the team. Like you had Forgiven.
Yeah, Forgiven on
The
Copenhagen.
Greece 80 carry man. He was on the same roster with Bevabin at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then those guys just got picked up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But so where EU I think does better than NA because it goes in ranks. I think Korea does their scouting the best. Korea is by far in a way, and some people say it's because they have more players or the solo queue is taken more seriously. Whatever excuses people want to make, I don't care. What I'm saying is Korea every year Korea sets out and they say, oh, wow, this didn't work out. Let's find some new young talent and kind of shift up the meta a little bit from the bottom through the Korean challenger scene and provisional or promotional tournament. And then you get a team like Danwon. You get a team like what's Viper's team? A Griffin. You get these teams.
Griffin used to be top Tigers at one point.
No, you're thinking of the Coup Tigers, Rocks Tigers, all that.
Korea's been on the top because the fact that Korea's been understood. They treat this like this is under esports is falling under the Olympic Committee, which is under the Ministry of Sports. They've been treating this as a serious thing
for a very long time. For a very long time.
Long time, about 20 years. Remember the first.
I would say closer to. We're talking almost closer to 30 at this point. Because you got to think like 25, somewhere in that ballpark.
Windows 98 rolled out.
Yeah, like seriously, like 25 at this point.
And NA is still like cool video games, nice, but most people again, it's coming around. But and then you see endemic and non-endemic sponsors coming in now. But you see like a lot of player base, like even kids now, they're watching Twitch. They're watching funny show. Yeah, you even see how it changed live sports. Like again, it's gonna be a point where esports may have to carry television networks. We've seen it with live sports now. Like NASCAR gets the views it gets. They're having issues with the on-track product at the moment, but they're still making revenue streaming because guess what? Everyone's trying to watch repeats of Grey's Anatomy, Friends,
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The Office.
Insert favorite show you will binge here.
Right,
Or Crunchyroll because you want to be an elitist snub watching anime, versus watching on Toonami like how most of us grew up watching. Because the subs are like the greatest thing ever, and if you watch subs, you are totally a fool. Fake news.
I understand. I understand people who watch dubbed because for a lot of us, we grew up watching dubs, but I watch subtitle just because I think if the subs are done correctly, it's closer to what a manga or what the original author envisioned. But that's another discussion for another time.
But the point I was making is there's more before Hulu in the advent of streaming services
on demand, the on demand generation
really took off. The way it was just cheap. The way your entertainment's changed from 2008 on has changed the market. And is now causing, and you see now, people look for other ways to get their entertainment. And esports, if they do it right, if everyone is not trying to get was mine, and actually want to do it for the greater good, because that's the only way it works. It works from the greater good. If you want to build esports up, you're going to have to stick around and you're going to have to invest. But you also got to play to the people who are still looking at you like it's some kids playing video game. My dad saw a documentary on Brian Gumbel did a documentary for in Sun Sports. He said these kids are getting paid in these rich houses, but no, it's only these kids are broke. Aftermove, last time I checked, Aftermove was adopted by people. Last time I checked, at least from his backstory, he was adopted by a family. Got good at video games, and even then they didn't support him, but they went out and support him now, seeing that they still support him. Like
that
we look
he
at fathers
that
like
he
wasn't like
probably, I would say Afromu is, if not making seven figures, is making a very high six figures.
figures. And you got
And
listen, wasn't Cap's dad at every final game?
yeah,
Perks was
Caps that is like, so brands now, especially our endemic, and I'd say even our crucible brands, like your TSMs, your, well, G2 is just gamers too, which is Ocelot's team. But
because Ocelot could never make it.
hey man, don't hate on my man Ocelot. Carlos,
It's a, hey,
respect,
never get. He was
respect.
the pride of SK. He was the pride of SK.
Respect to my man Ocelot. Throw the scarf, boy. Anyway, but realistically, in talking about the scene where I'm trying to just come back because I'm about to lose my train of thought. Oh, the brands are understanding what it means to be more personable versus just being like, we're popular because we're popular, or we're popular because we're good. That's why when you have a value such as, Cloud9 with the power of friendship and the meme dream team and all this other stuff, then yeah, you're definitely gonna have people come into the into watching for the personalities and stick around for development and growth. Whereas right now TSM is struggling because people came in for winning. And now that they're not winning,
Is it now they did share for Dr. Pepper, free Dr. Pepper.
basically.
They did a whole K-pop ad, that the whole K-pop like ad for Dr. Pepper.
I mean,
And
at this point, so it's really funny that they're going around full circle because TSM was a team that was created to promote a site, and then the site died, but TSM became the big thing. Or Team Solo Mid was a team created to prop up the site Team Solo Mid, but then Team Solo Mid died, and TSM came up, and then TSM was super popular, and now TSM is doing more work in setting up, like, I see TSM doing more advertisements. They do more stuff with like, um who's on there? I'm trying to think of some of their patches
Dr.
and
Pepper,
stuff.
they just did that with
Yeah,
Dr. Pepper,
the Dr. Pepper's one, Ben Q, I think.
which used to be the good old Mascot 5 one of the sponsors, which also the endemic sponsor because they're a monitor company.
But yeah, you see a lot of this stuff for TSM coming up, and you see a lot. But again, we don't know who they are as a brand, and they're struggling. Like in the last couple seasons, I think TSM has been through 5 junglers, 6 junglers.
Oh, don't forget they also had own sites like Mobile Fire. It's like they had control of other build sites too.
So it's one of those things where I think TSM needs to go back to the drawing board. They did really, really well by picking up Bjergsen.
Um, their 5 sponsors they currently have Logitech, Legion, which is Lavano, Vive, which I believe HCC Vive, which is a for those who know the VR. Twitch is a sponsor. Geico's a sponsor. Grubhub is a sponsor now, and Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. So I
But
see I see them doing more promotion for those sponsors than for
getting paid their
their
money back.
and especially TSM is almost, I feel, I for a while I thought TSM was out of the was going to leave League of Legends. I feel like they make way more money, they make way more publicity, they have a bigger share of the media space with Fortnite. If I ask anyone under the age of 20 why they watch or why they enjoy Fortnite or why they enjoy TSM, they're going to say Fortnite, you know? So
Not to mention, since that point, TSM has rosters in, I believe, PUBG,
it should be Fortnite,
Fortnite,
PUBG, CSGO,
I
Smash Brothers,
others. Is it Overwatch, Rocket League?
Overwatch. Yep.
I was Magic. Rainbow Six Siege, and it's actually a whole bunch of other streamers. Oh, Team Fight. Oh, I forgot that Team Force is a team the TFT.
Oh, Team Fight Tactics.
Yeah, and then you have a bunch of people who are signed, like Gosu is signed on the TSM streaming roster, and
Yeah,
Chewy.
Gosu used to be he was signed under CLG, I think, and
Yeah, he
then
was.
he was signed to TSM because I remember the meme was he would replace
Oh,
Double
H
Lift
one Z one. That was the other one.
if
H one Z
if
one
Double Lift ever started slacking or anything. But yeah,
and Diablo. Diablo.
this has been our first episode. It's been kind of like all over the place. Next time, I think I will, because we just did it on the fly. This was actually just going to be a test run, and then the test runs kept on failing, but we kept on talking, so I just kept on restarting the videos. So maybe I'll release some of those early ones or snip them together somehow or add them to the end of this video. Like I said, this has been your boy KP King Prime. You can find me at Ion Esports. I think it's at Esport Eye.
Oh, you never changed the thingy, by the way.
What thingy?
Your title.
For
That's
what?
part of the reason. Like you like you
Oh, you mean for when I went live?
yes, and
Oh,
that's part
that's
of the reason. Like this should be a just chatting stream, but it's not.
it's okay. I mean,
But
it's
the point,
a League of Legends just chatting League of
no,
Legends. It should be
it's
under talk show.
yeah. But the point I'm getting, the point there is the fact that we just jumped live. But I know we jumped topics, but the point we gonna get to, don't worry, we'll start the second episode soon after this one because like we'll just take a 5 minute break. Okay, structure everything we're gonna talk about. Keep everything on the is it
Bullet points.
because clearly I can go on for days. But and so, but the point you're trying to make is this, and that's the best way to fix it because we never got to the fixing part. We just got to the what's the issue. The
What's
issue
going on? What's wrong? Yeah,
kind
so
of simple. NA is lacking when it comes. NA lacks when it comes to getting that sensation of the future because no one knows what the future is because you keep just buying new talent. Like you said, you keep buying recycled talent or importing people. You keep reporting people from Korea who
a
are
lot of
maybe are
times
not
I,
famous,
I was gonna say
but
a lot of time the people that they're importing from Korea also are looking just for that check. They're already on their downward trend when it comes to where they were in versus their prime. Like you'll look at a player like Smeb. Smeb played like 3 years in God mode or 2 years in God mode, and then came to America when he started coming back down. He's still heads above. You know, he 1v9 the challenger scene, and he's still pretty even or on par. But if you were to take Prime Smeb, Jesus, Prime someday, I don't know why I said Smeb. If you were to take Prime Sunday someday and put him into the NALCS, he would have just rolled over every top laner. Like people are really hype about Hooney and how good he was. I don't. Does anybody remember season? I think it was season 5 Worlds when he put him in a body bag. Like every top laner was like, or this is French fanatic Hooney getting dumpstered by every Korean top laner, right? And someday still has a lot of that carry potential, as we've seen in with his having to be relegated to the NA challenger scene, NA academy scene.
which again it kind of hurt. Which again just shows you the fact that NA doesn't spend a lot of time. Is it was it apparently we're in a rush. Why we're trying to prove to these business folk that hey this is sustainable. You can market with us. Like it's the you're trying to you're it's the early NASCAR with sponsors. Which by the way, shout out to Richard Petty the King. He was one of the first people to bring sponsors into NASCAR, and it all started with things he had to use. Like is famous STP because he had to use that oil in the engine. Simple stuff, you know. But all that goes back to as far as sponsor. You trying to prove that hey, we're trying to prove the sponsor. You go with a franchise format where you people buy in. That way you can keep the money split. That made teams like Unicorns of Love, who almost made Worlds, and it would have been funny as hell if Unicorns of Love camera froze. Oh no, it didn't. It'd be funny if Unicorns of Love actually beat they beat Slice to get in.
Oh, that would have been something something.
And then they wound up beating G2. It's like you didn't we had to go to Russia because you don't because y'all format was BS, and that would have been fun. Like it's funny like how these teams work. You got like Unicorns of Love had all these players that wound up going to these other power teams, and then it's like now they fall off. This is Zion Spartan went from being from Team Coast to CLG picked them up. Then they didn't want them no more.
I mean, he had a good run on that team. You got to think he was there. He might have been, besides Bjergsen, I think he's the second longest tenured player on a single team. It's like Bjergsen, Sneaky, Zion Spartan.
The point the point there is we're trying to prove to people and entertain people because is it anything that doesn't have stars, most people ain't watching it. And this hurts tennis, like even hurts sports like tennis because our city lost our 500 level 250 level challenger tournament, which you had every pro that you ever heard of either read about played in Memphis once upon a time. 40 years of history, 41 years of history now in New York. There's more Challenger 500 tournaments in every other country but the United States because we want stars, and
True.
that's kind of where it hurts the U.S. scenes. You rather watch a streamer playing the game versus the actual league. I mean, it used to be a cardinal sin to stream during LCS. Now people just stream for LCS. It's like, man, unless it's a team like, oh, unless that
It's
star factor hits you.
TSM versus CLG, TSM versus Cloud9. Oh, this is the finals. It's the finals, so you know it's going to have 500,000 viewers. But during your regular like
They still putting 100.
Golden Guardian versus 100 Thieves game,
72,000 to maybe 100, and then as soon as the CLG they'll classic what they call the classical. I like to call it the good old I like to call it good old clean hate, good old fashioned clean hate, because that's what it is. It's a college rivalry essentially because it's the good old rivalry game. Good old clean hate. But you're now you're looking at people want to look because of the brands. They recognize brands. Like a lot of people don't spend their time fanatic being fanatics.
mm,
Fanatic, get it? Fanatics.
it's good. Good team
Anyway,
name. Good team name. We should call our next team Fnatic.
is it? But the point is it. But the point being the point. People don't look at that. People look at stars. Look at trying to ultimately sell themselves. They're trying to sell an idea of brand entertainment, and that's what screws America over. Because again, there's so many options to entertain yourself. You don't even need again. Some people have got to the point where they only care about sports if they can win money off fantasy.
True. Yeah.
Which, which by the way, thank you. By the way, someone thank you to the guy who started fantasy baseball on a telephone call. Yeah, first, but yeah, it's like, but yeah, people talk about fantasy football, yada yada yada, but it all started because of the base, and that's how the game analytics starting to be. So like everything starts off by things we
I
keep
mean, when
saying.
we when we get sponsored, if we get sponsored by a fantasy site, I'm all for it as well.
But the point all the way around is
DraftKings.
this.
Who else is
The
out
point
there?
being all the way around, and is that we care more about the entertainment value or what can it do to help me versus the whole. And
True.
when people realize that esports takes everybody, and I mean everybody, like we should all be proud that Fortnite filled up Arthur Ashe Stadium for their World Championship. We should be thankful for that, and also go back to thank League for trying this at USC. Even though the live broadcast was buggy, people were cheating on the back on the back screen
The big
showing
screen.
the
Yeah.
entire match. And we had the Silver Scrapes 5-hour loop bug,
But I
which
mean, if it
became
wasn't if it wasn't for something like that, we wouldn't be selling out the Bird's Nest in China. Wouldn't be selling out Staples Center.
it's
Uh,
a MSG in 15 minutes.
you know what I
MSG in
mean?
15.
So yeah. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna cut it. Old school. We don't have anything to
Listen,
really plug. So yeah.
this is the first pilot. Where we were shooting the next pilot right after this. Because
Are we? Are we? I don't know. Maybe.
yes, no, because like you got to be 3 episodes ahead. That's how you get to subscribe. That's what you
Oh,
get to follow.
gotcha. That's funny.
But yeah, because people like to binge, and that's like the last reason. But again, all about entertainment value.
All
So
right.
esports in a whole, to sum everything up, because I ruined it again. Point is, to fix esports, we is it to fix esports just from a problem aspect. The problem goes back to hype for the future. It's it versus results. We're looking at trying to entertain versus trying to actually put out, and you look at the constant brand awareness and failures of brands that started versus what you have now. So those are three things right there. In the next episode, guys, we'll conquer like how to go into it. Like I started it, but as you know, I generally forget these things, and we have to make a device that makes me remember what I was actually going to talk about.
It's called a
But the
shot
point is, we'll
collar with
talk
a
about
remote.
how to better restructure the LCS system, how to actually start it from the ground up perspective. We'll talk more about how to how to help your local your local scene out is with with high schools now getting into it, and most important, we'll talk more about some of the things on the waiver wire, some of the things in silly season, as we say in the NASCAR business, all the moves and stuff being made for that finalized, going into the first IEMs, because they're almost here if Riot lets them play in it, but
That's
that's
if
the
the
topic for
teams
another
want to play in it. Yeah.
one.
All right. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys on the flip side.